let's load up our top 25s onto the screen here. Thank you, Mason. So you look down here at the bottom, 25, 24, 23, 22, and 21, that bottom row there. I am more confident in that row this week than I have been in a while. I feel like as the year goes on, I think we are starting to figure out really what our top 25 teams are, because the way Kansas State played last week, I know it was a loss, but I mean, we can't penalize them too much for a loss to a team that's in the top 10, right? And on the road. So North Carolina, we know what their potential is. We know what their floor is, but we know what their ceiling is, and it's very high.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, I don't know if Notre Dame's got the right football coach, Mason. I'm starting to wonder, dude. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Until it seems like he's recruiting pretty decent, but the coaching staff there, I'm just not in love with offensively. How does Sam Hartman go to a place like that and he's worse? I don't understand that, not one bit. We know what LSU is capable of. Very strong offense, one of the strongest offenses that you're going to see on this top 25 here, honestly, especially whenever they've got Daniels healthy, because that guy is just freaking unbelievable. Jaden Daniels, that the first 3 quarters of that LSU Alabama game, unbelievable. Just one of the best showings at quarterback that I've seen. The man had, a whole game's like numbers in 3 quarters. Gosh, I would have loved to seen what LSU could have done if he'd have stayed in the game. And then Arizona has been a solid team for 3-4 weeks. They've kind of grown as the seasons went on. Noah Fafita is playing some really good quarterback for them. But nobody really pays attention to the Zona schools, right? They typically play late at night. Not as many people watch them, but I'm here to tell you this is a pretty well-rounded football team here. What do you think about these this bottom group right here in the top 25?
Well, I think it's important to explain that, and we kind of have to do this every show, unfortunately, but, there are teams that deserve to be in the top 25, and there are teams that are like legitimate top 25 teams from a power rating perspective. Like, I don't think that JMU at 20 would beat Kansas State at 25. That's right. I don't think that, but JMU is undefeated and they're a really good team in their division. So they kind of deserve to be in that. If they get beaten, like we saw Air Force get beaten by my Army Black Knights, if JMU gets beaten, then we'll take them out. But right now, I think an undefeated team deserves to be in the top 25. Anyways, going back to what you were saying, I thought Kansas State played their freaking butts off. You mentioned it earlier. They're a good field goal kicker away from taking the game into overtime, and I wasn't too upset with them going for it, but I get what you're saying. Why be so overly aggressive? I thought that they tried to steal the game away at the end there, and could have just kicked a field goal, but nonetheless, out of this bottom 5, rather, I feel like maybe Kansas State is the best team of them all, in a way. As I look at it, I think that they're kind of the more complete team of the bunch. But and then Arizona is probably the hottest of the teams, right? They've just been kind of surging. Their stock is rising for sure right now. They've been playing some really good football.
Yeah, for sure. So going up that next row, you talked about JMU. Hey, their record speaks for itself, and that's why they're where they're at. Congratulations, JMU. You've made the first and long college football top 20 for the first time. So congratulations. Your award is in the mail. Oklahoma at 19, Kansas at 18, Tulane at 17, and Utah at 16. Utah's just the hair in the biscuit that's baked in. You just can't get them out of the top 25. They just got their claws dug in. All of a sudden, they scored 55 points last week. I don't know where that came from. And we know what their defense is, and we're going to talk more about them later in the show because they got a big game coming up this week. And maybe a line that's going to surprise you on that game. It did surprise me a bit. Tulane, they've got a loss to Ole Miss, and that's the only loss they've got. Looks like that's going to be your your highest ranked team outside the Power Five for bowl season, more than likely. We'll see how that goes for them. Kansas is on a hot streak, and looks like they've figured things out a little bit. Just a good team. I mean, they're just a pretty good football team. Leipold has done a fantastic job there. Oklahoma falls again. Man, gosh, I have to say, all you Oklahoma fans were. I thought you enjoyed the video last week, but then some of your comments, I don't know if you enjoyed it as much. But we got called Oklahoma State fans and all kinds of stuff. So, which is fine. We don't care what you call us. We're just glad that you're watching and commenting. But and I totally kid. But that was rough to take the shot on the head from little brother on the way out. And that's what I was told, that Oklahoma State was their little brother. But little brother won this fight. And Oklahoma is going to have to lick their wounds and hope that some people stumble along the way and they can get their chance to ruin Texas's season at the end of the year. That's about all there is to hope for at this point. What do you think about this group?
Well, while we're on the Kansas talk, I mean, Kansas's only losses right now are to Texas and Oklahoma State, the two teams that are favored to play in the Big 12 championship right now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Kansas is a pretty good team. I was surprised that Iowa State was favored last week, which is why I think you and I both took them in that game. And lo and behold, they ended up winning by 7. This coming up week, I just pulled their schedule up because I couldn't remember who their losses were to exactly. But this coming up week, they're only 3.5-point favorites against Texas Tech. So I'm going to be riding with the Jayhawks again this week come Friday. Tune into our Between the Lines betting show, actually Thursday nights now. And,
Gosh, I forgot Texas Tech was playing football.
That's right.
Wow.
What a fall for them. But nonetheless, you mentioned JMU. I haven't watched a single JMU game this year. I'll be honest with you. I know
this was an obligatory ranking, wasn't it?
It is. I mean, it really. I think the biggest news with JMU is that they cannot go to their championship game, which I think is just absolutely absurd. The best Division II football team, pretty much, and they're not even able to play.
For the life of me, figure out what that ban is about. Why?
It makes no sense. I think college football fans deserve to see that. Now, there is a chance that they get into a bowl game if, I guess, there aren't enough FBS teams that have at least 6 games. But, I don't know. I'd really like to see them, in a championship game as well. OU, still a really good football team, y'all. Really balanced. I think they're another year out. And I think that they need another year under that Brent Venables defensive scheme to kind of get going on the defensive side of the ball. They were looking hot early in the season, and they've dropped 2 in a row now, and they're on a bit of a slide here. Tulane, they're still favored to win. Their division. I think that SMU might have something to say about that, but for now, Tulane's they've got one quality loss, if there is such a thing, against Ole Miss, number 10 team in the country. So not too bad there. And then Utah, you mentioned it, hair in the biscuit there. They're baked into this top 25. They're not coming out. And we might have some reasons to think in this preview that we're about to do on the upcoming game that they may win again this week.
Wow. Yeah, that they got a big matchup coming up, and I'm always excited to talk Utah football, and I love that Utah fan base. They're very, very passionate. They're a bunch of ride or dies. Tied at 14, we've got Mizzouri and Tennessee, and this was the perfect week to have them suckers tied at 14. You know why? Because they're playing this week, man. Yeah. They're freaking playing this week. So we're going. It's the battle to see who's really 14 in the college football. In the first and long college football ranking. That's what they're saying.
We don't do this intentionally, folks. Like, this has happened, I think, 3 times this season somehow. But it's completely unintentional. We're both blind when we make our own top 25 and we average those two. So it's kind of weird that it happened, but it's
Yeah, I
always
don't know
fun when it
Mason's
does.
top 25 whenever I'm making my top 25. We don't see each
Yeah.
other's before we average them together. So yeah, this is literally just how it happened. And I think it's a 1 point spread. So I'd say we're pretty damn accurate, even though this isn't a power rating. It
Mm-hmm.
does match up nice and tidy. So we'll break that game down a little bit. Missouri, of course, is off their loss to Georgia. Tennessee beat some Helen Keller school for the blind and deaf. Beat them by about 100 points or whatever. It seemed a bit excessive to me, honestly.
Yeah.
But Tennessee, boy, they'll run that score up on you now. They love to run the score up on teams when they can. And that's every bit they're right. They can do that all they want to. But somebody needs to tell them it's not the BCS era anymore. You don't have to do that. Number 13, Oregon State. I'm like, Oregon State's a decent football team, but again, it's like a hair and a biscuit. You just can't quite get rid of them. They're just here in the top 15 again. Here they are. Oklahoma State beats their bigger brother in a fist fight there in Stillwater and has moved their way up to number 12 and is lurking in the Big 12, looking to play for a Big 12 championship. And Louisville in their respective conference looking to do the same thing and is lurking on the doorstep of Florida State in the ACC championship. As there is a few games left, it looks like they're on their way to that there in Charlotte, North Carolina. What do you think about this group? This is a fun group right here.
It is. It's getting interesting. And I'm not gonna spend any time on the Missouri and Tennessee game. We're breaking that game down here in just a few minutes. If you will stick around with us, we'll be sure to break that one down, and we'll also cut that and have that release as well on the channel as a standalone video. So for your convenience, viewer. And all right, so number 13, you've got Oregon State. I went to put them at 13 and I'm like, is that right? Like, am I missing like 5 teams or something? Because I feel like this is a number 18 team in the country, but no, they are truly a number 13 team in the country. And I think that's pretty true across most rankings, which is kind of surprising. They play a bit of a lackluster style of football. But they're getting the job done, and from a power rating perspective as well, they're a solid team. So they definitely deserve to be in the top 15. Oklahoma State coming up out of nowhere. I think we're higher than most people on Oklahoma State right now, but we were higher last week too. We had them ranked in the top 25, and a lot of rankings didn't. The CFP poll did. So we felt validated there a bit. But now Oklahoma State, to me, I think is definitely going to go based on their schedule. I think they're definitely going to go to the Big 12 championship now and face presumably Texas. And I mentioned it earlier. I think Oklahoma State has what it takes to win that football game. Now, I also think that Texas can win that football game. I'm not telling you that Oklahoma State is going to beat Texas necessarily, but I do think that Oklahoma State has what it takes to win that game, which is something I was not saying even 2 weeks ago.
Do you think that Texas, and we'll quickly get off of this, but do you think Texas with Malik Murphy can beat them?
I don't. I think that
I don't think
Texas,
I do either, man. Not right now.
Yeah, no, not with if Ollie Gordon is healthy, right? Let's premise that as well. He is kind of that whole offense. So they definitely
Alan
need him
Bowman
playing.
didn't look bad though, man. I mean,
That's true. That's true.
That's a guy that apparently has been from college to college to college, literally, I think 3 different ones.
Yeah.
And they lost their quarterback from last year, Spencer.
Sanders.
This team, man, they're on a heater, dude. Like it seems like they are on a heater. And then we said it when Quinn Ewers got hurt. Just because they say it's going to be 2 weeks, dude, it could be 4 weeks. It could be 5 weeks. It could be the rest of the season. He could be out.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know when he's coming back. And this Texas team with a first-year quarterback, we saw what it looks like last year. This team was very talented last year. but they had a first-year quarterback, and this system ain't made for no first-year quarterback, dude. Steve Sarkisian's system is very complicated.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're
Texas is
good.
one really interests me in this top 25 and the remainder of the year.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on them and the health of their entire team, but namely Quinn Ewers.
Mhm.
But lastly, you've got the bird with teeth, number 11, Louisville, the Cardinals. This is another team that deserves to be where they're at, but I don't think that they're as good as where they're at. I do think they're a top
Oh
20
God, now
program.
they're gonna come after you, Mason.
Hey, well,
You
when
know
we talk
bird with teeth on you.
when we talk Cardinals, and we're saying that they're not as good as people think they are, they tend to win. So we're just doing you a favor here, Louisville
This
fans.
is true.
Don't shoot
You're
the
welcome.
messenger here. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. They've got 3 easy games remaining. I think that they win all of them, and I think we see them in the ACC championship against Florida State, looking to play the upset alert, and I think they can beat Florida State.
I do too.
Yeah, we'll get into that once we get into our top 5, but I think that Florida State's pretty beatable.
Yeah, I definitely do. You catch Florida State on the wrong day, they're certainly beatable. Depends on how that 50-50 ball goes, right? That's kind of what
Yeah.
they live and die by, it seems like. All right, top 10. Number 10, we got Ole Miss. 9, we got Penn State. 8, we got Alabama. Number 7, we got Texas. And number 6, we've got Oregon. Here's all. So basically, the top 10, here's all your winners from last week. Your big winners, pretty much. Look, out of this group, we're going to see what Penn State's made of this week. We're going to see what Ole Miss is made of this week. I think we're seeing Alabama trend in the right direction. We just talked about Texas. I think we're seeing them trend in the wrong direction. And I think Oregon could quietly be the best team in the country. I think it's very, very possible. What is your thoughts on this group? I'm keeping mine short and sweet here because we talk
Yeah.
about these same teams every single week. But
We
right now, Oregon just seems like one of the one. Oregon and Georgia seem to be trending upward to me.
Mhm. Yeah, we do constantly talk about these teams, and for good reason. Our top 11 this week was identical. And I think that if you compared us, I haven't seen the AP poll in like this week at all, so I don't know exactly where they're at, but it's probably about the same, if not identical. Well, minus Michigan. We're lower on Michigan because of their asterisks there. They cheat and all. So we
Always check
don't.
the legend on charts.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Always check the legend. So you're going to see down there the asterisk. That means cheats.
Yeah. So, but yeah, in this 10 through 6, you mentioned Oregon. I share that sentiment that, this Oregon team is absolutely complete. We're going to break down their game with USC coming up this week here in just a minute. And I think that they're one of the more balanced and through position by position, one of the more complete teams in the country. At number 7, Texas. They've showed some vulnerability in some games here as of late, especially without Quinn Ewers. Malik Murphy doing enough to get it done, but he's got to control that football a little bit better to stay in the top 10. Otherwise, they may drop a game, and it probably won't come until the Big 12 championship. Looking ahead at their schedule, I think they've pretty much got their schedule in the regular season wrapped up from here on out. Alabama. I think that they're going to win out as well, and they won't get tested again really until the SEC championship game. Although we've got a preview coming up on Alabama and Kentucky this week. That's kind of their last true test, and then the rivalry game against Auburn, a cupcake sandwich in between. But I think Alabama's trending in the right direction. They're playing like a top 5 program right now. So, but with that Texas loss, it'd be tough to put them ahead of the Longhorns right now. And in Penn State, another one we're going to break down here in just a minute. I won't share my secrets quite yet, but tune into their preview with Michigan coming up, and Ole Miss. Ole Miss was actually 9. I did take a sneak peek at the CFP rankings for this week earlier tonight, and Ole Miss is up to 9 in their rankings. Georgia was at 2. And I think that they had Michigan at 3, and everything else was about the same as our rankings.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting Ole Miss get moved up by the CFP rankings. It's almost like they want to put Georgia at number 1 because they see what we see on the film, and they know that like Georgia looks like a better team than Ohio State just film wise. But it's tough to overlook the Notre Dame win, which is top 25 win for Ohio State, and also the Penn State win, which other than Washington's win over Oregon is probably the second best win in the country. So tough for them to overlook that.
Yeah. Well, we talk about these teams all the time, but 1 Georgia, 2 Ohio State. Ohio State's definitely got the best resume. If you want to look at it from quality wins and things like that. Do I think they're the number 1 team in the country? No, I don't. I have a set of eyeballs, and I watch these games, and Ohio State has got some offensive issues, and I think that's very clear to see when you watch them. I think this is the best defense they've had in a long time, but I'm not in love with Kyle McCord at this point, and I think it's a step down from what Ohio State has had here in the years past. I think Texas, if they can get Quinn Ewers back, I like them to get back in the playoffs. I'm concerned about Ewers because that injury can be one that is nagging. And Quentin, I see you commenting there. We'll put those comments up here in just a second as soon as I finish my thoughts here. But Washington feels like a team that is not going to be one that's there at the end to me, because I think that they're going to have to face Oregon again on that Friday night in Las Vegas for the Pac-12 championship. And I think Oregon, so long as Dan Lanning isn't making boneheaded decisions, I think that they stand a really good chance to win that game. Quentin is saying Sark said this is the first time all year everyone has practiced, and Ewers 75% chance of playing. I think that would be, if Ewers was to come back this week, I certainly feel like that would be best case scenario for his injury, right?
Absolutely.
How many weeks would that have been? 2 weeks on that, 3 weeks. They need him, Quentin. I'm telling you right now, they need him, or they're going to lose another game. And it's not, it's just one of them things, man. It's just college football, and it's next man up. But that offense is so damn hard. Malik Murphy is not there yet in that offense, and I'm wondering if he's ever going to get a chance to be there, because I'm thinking he may be transferring out with who they've got sitting behind him, and with a guy of the name of Manning. So very, very crowded quarterback room there, tons of talent. It's just a really tough system to come in with a first-year quarterback. And that's why Carson Beck has surprised me, what he's done at Georgia this year, because Georgia also runs a very complex offense. And to be a starter versus just playing on the practice squad, and getting reps in practice is 2 totally different things. And I think anybody can understand that. Texas is one of the most talented teams on the line, skill position, all that stuff. But we all know how important quarterback is. And Ewers, I felt like, had taken a big step up in running this offense this year. Quentin, thank you so much for commenting, buddy. I really do appreciate that. And we hope you hang around and watch some videos with us, man, and watch some college football. We appreciate it.